This is the 12 match races of Christmas, where us, the Triple Clowns, present to you some dream matchups. We are constantly working on original and I think groundbreaking horse racing shows that are informative and also, at the end of the day, fun, guys. So hit that like, subscribe button and that notification bell. Also follow us on Twitter at Clowns Triple and all other social media platforms, because we are going to bring you new shows. That's right, new shows that include horse racing conspiracies and odd stories, handicapping 101. We're going to do live picks from the track, and of course, our show where we interview great guests and we do some horse racing skits that are a good time. Support us so we can keep going, trailblazing in the horse racing industry. From AJ Ryder, Sarah Marie, and of course, myself, G. Randall Johnson. Happy holidays, and let's get it on with the 12 match races of Christmas. Okay, so here we are. This is the biggest matchup. There's no other matchup that's as big as
no.
Nope, absolutely not. So we brought in the figuratively biggest guy we know out there, especially in Oak Park, Vic Stauffer, our friend, the voice of a million great calls, jockey, agent extraordinaire, racing steward, ex-racing steward, maybe future.
Yeah,
But Vic Stauffer, our very good friend, Vic Stauffer, always glad to hear from you. Vic, welcome, and are you ready to take on one of the clowns? You have Secretariat against Mana of War. And in the blue corner, hailing from Caroline County, Virginia, with an impressive record of 21 starts, 16 wins, 3 seconds, and 1/3. His major wins include the Sanford Stakes, Hopeful Stakes, Futurity Stakes, Laurel Futurity, Garden State Futurity, Bay Shore Stakes, Gotham Stakes, Arlington Invitational, Marlboro Cup, Man o' War Stakes, Canadian International, and of course, a Triple Crown winner in 1973. That is the number 2 top 100 U.S. racehorses of the 20th century, ranked Secretariat. And in the red corner, hailing from Lexington, Kentucky, with an astonishing record of 21 starts, 20 wins, and 1 second. His major wins include the Keene Memorial, Tremont Stakes, United States Hotel Stakes, Youthful Stakes, Grand Union Hotel Stakes, Hopeful Stakes, Hudson Stakes, Futurity Stakes, Wither Stakes, Stuyvesant Handicap, Dwyer Stakes, Miller Stakes, Travers Stakes, Lawrence Realization Stakes, Jockey Gold Cup, Pontiac Handicap, Kenilworth Park Gold Cup, also Preakness Stakes winner, and a Belmont Stakes winner. This was the horse ranked number 1 of top 100 U.S. racehorses of the 20th century. That is the one, the only, Man o' War.
I am ready. This is big, and I am charged up. And you said figuratively, I am also very big literally.
Well, I didn't want to say that.
I was wondering where that was going. Okay.
I didn't want to say that, Vic.
You would never say
well, because
that.
if I said the biggest guest we have, he would have taken it. You know, he would have called me out on that. There's no doubt.
Say one of the most recognized voices in track announcing.
Or figuratively the biggest.
Or figuratively the biggest, whichever way you want to put that.
Right.
Whatever makes you happy.
Vic, welcome back to the Clowns. Always a pleasure to have you on here. And we're going to be ready to go. So, AJ, give us the rules.
All right. Well, our contest consists of 3 rounds. The first round, each contestant in our show will have an opportunity to present their opening argument. Each opening argument will be limited to 1 minute only. The second round is a Q&A with the judges. Each judges will get an opportunity to ask each contestant as many questions about each horse as they'd like. There is no time limit on this round. The final round consists of a free-for-all battle royale lasting 1 minute 30 seconds, where each contestant goes back and forth presenting their argument, and well, we'll just see what happens then. And at the end of the 3 rounds, the remaining 2 judges will then confer and decide our winner.
So there it is. Those are the rules. And this is the big decision that everybody has to make.
I feel like we need a drum roll for this.
No. All right. So, Vic, you get to choose one of the 3 clowns to go against.
I'm going to choose, because we're both currently wearing glossy lipstick, Sarah.
Oh,
wow.
wow.
Wow. I'm not going to lie, Vic, that threw me for a loop. I was just totally.
What threw you for a
Vic
loop,
would never
though?
pick.
Was it
But
his
one
glossy
thing-
lipstick? Or that you
One
pictured?
thing, yeah, Vic, what color is your glossy lipstick you're wearing?
At this point, I'm not at liberty to comment on that. However, it doesn't look as good as on me as it does you. I can promise you that.
All right.
How does your wife feel about this one?
Who do you think made him do it?
True.
Yeah. Now we're getting a little bit too much into Vic's personal. Back to what we were talking about.
For 20 minutes on the 3rd Friday of every month, I'm Mrs. Phyllis Levine, just for a little while. It's,
Oh my God.
it's kind of a tradition.
Hey, man.
I love
Now that we know that, we find out way too much information about people on this show, I feel.
know.
All right, that's fantastic. All right, so Sarah looks flustered right now. I don't think she's ready to go against the one, the only Vic
I
Stauffer.
know.
Remember,
All right.
this is the guy with the earthquake call, the Zenyatta calls, the last call at
Are you
Hollywood
trying
Park.
to like make me
he
nervous or
knows-
something?
Yeah, well, you should be.
What are you trying to do?
Because you should be nervous. I need you to bring your A game here.
Oh, I got my A game.
Okay. All right, so Vic, would you like to go with the first round first, or would you like Sarah to go first for opening arguments?
Oh, I think we should let Sarah kick it off.
All right.
Okay.
Let's go, Sarah.
All right. Sarah,
All
you've
right.
got 1 minute. Your time starts now.
All right, Man of War, one of the greatest racehorses of all time. His record is 21 starts, 21st, 1 second. He set 3 world records, 2 American records, and 3 track records. Then his career ended with a match race against the Triple Crown winner, Sir Barton, in which he dominated that race, going gate to wire with a 7-length lead. So this horse, by far, with the track record that he has in the races, you look at his PPs, there is no doubt in my mind that he could dominate this field today, especially against Secretariat. You look at their times, they're not far off in some of their races. And like I said, you look at when Man of War won, he won by lengths. That's how they measured it. Not just a single one, but multiple lengths. Man of War was a great horse who fought. He also was weighing 30 pounds heavier than most, at least 30 pounds heavier than most horses in his races.
Okay.
All right. Thank you, Sarah.
All right. Okay, Sarah.
And first of all, can we say it's Man o' War, not of war?
What was I saying?
Both of you keep saying Man of War.
I say Man of War.
No,
just
you
said
said
I
Man.
think
Man
you
of
just
War.
like
All right, got
jumble it all together.
Anyway, it was bothering me, so I had to bring that up.
Okay, so, all right, so Vic.
Yes,
You got
Judge.
the clock ready?
Yep.
All right, go ahead.
Nick, your time starts now.
Sarah, you're talking about a horse race amongst legends, and then you're trying to tell me that Man of War would beat the single most legendary racehorse to ever look through a bridle. Walk down the street right now and say, hey, name any horse. You're going to see somebody, they're going to either take Mr. Ed or Secretariat. I mean, this is such an incredible mismatch. Everything about Secretariat and everything that he did was just epic compared to all other horses. When you think of Secretariat, it's like a singular name. First of all, Man of War's got 3 names. That's not going to work, because think of soccer, you got Pele. Think of basketball, you got Michael. Think of the worst handicapping ever of the Breeders' Cup's turf sprint, you got AJ. So this is a singular type thing here. You talked about times. Okay, let's talk about times. Here are the fractions of when Secretariat won the Belmont Stakes, because each and every one of his quarters was faster than the one before. 25-1, 24 flat, 23-4, 23-2, and the final quarter winning by 31 lengths. He ran in 23 seconds flat. Man of
Thank
War
you,
couldn't
Vic.
do
That
that
is your
if
time.
you
Vic,
dropped
Vic,
him out of a
Vic.
helicopter.
All right. Fantastic. I love you working in that
Love
AJ
this.
thing there.
I
That was
know.
fantastic.
That was
Vic.
the best part
Very
of your
good.
arc. I'm sold right there. Vic.
Very good. All right. So this is the time we get to ask you guys questions. We
right.
basically cross-examine you guys. AJ, do you want to start or you want me to start?
You can go.
Okay. The first thing I want to do is I think Sarah said something. And
What did I
I'm
miss
sorry.
say?
I don't believe Sir Barton won the Triple Crown because I don't think it was around.
It wasn't called the Triple Crown, but he
Yeah,
won the
okay.
Triple Crown.
It wasn't coined the Triple Crown until the 1930s
So you won all
when
three of the
Gallant
races.
Fox won. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So I wanted to ask you that because I actually wasn't sure. All right. Okay. So he beat Sir Barton.
Mm-hmm.
Would you say that Secretariat had another rival or somebody he beat that could even stand up to Sir Barton?
Ooh. No. No.
Okay.
Where do you go against? Sham?
Cool.
Not another Triple Crown winner.
Well, he couldn't win the Triple Crown because they were in the same races.
Interesting that you say that. Because Lafitte Pincay Jr. told me that Sham was good enough to win a Triple Crown. He also told me that he was one of the best racehorses he ever sat on the back of. And that'll give you a little idea of how good Secretariat was.
See, this is what happens when you talk to people that talk to Lafitte Pincay Jr. They start dropping real knowledge on us. But no, we thank you for that. Okay. AJ, do you have a question for Vic or Sarah? I have a couple for Vic.
I mean, I just want to point on the Sham comment because I actually agree with Sarah here. Was Sham really good enough to win Triple Crown? Didn't he get last in the Belmont? Like, wouldn't he have put up a better performance and at least been within
He caught up to
second place?
No. And the reason for that is because Secretariat was so incredibly dominant that finally he took the heart out of Sham. Sham got so sick of chasing that big red bastard that he finally just said, I've had enough. And that's why he finished last in the Belmont. That's the thing about a horse like Secretariat. Sarah, you said that Man of War weighed 30 pounds more than the other horses.
Carrion. She said
Carrion.
carrion.
I misspoke there.
Carrion.
Okay. Well, let me tell you something about Secretariat. When they did the necropsy after he died, they found out that his heart was twice as big, double the size of a normal racehorse. That's the kind of engine or the kind of tremendous machine, like Chick Anderson so brilliantly said, that we're dealing with a horse like this. Come on. You kidding me?
Well, they did call that the X factor after they examined his heart.
Yeah, that wasn't even fair. That was like a performance-enhancing heart.
Natural, genetic performance.
Okay, so
enhancing.
Vic, on that note, I'm gonna ask you this: on the carrying 30 pounds more, do you think that was a big deal? Because he did set 3 world records carrying 30 pounds more than a normal horse where he was going against. Do you think that had something? Do you think that's a big difference that he was carrying more weight than Secretariat?
Yeah, I guess it's a big difference. I mean, you could tie a car to his tail and he probably wouldn't run as well either. I mean, it matters, and he was a terrific horse. But I mean, it's funny that we're talking about a match race here because there's really no criteria that you can use where Man of War stacks up. I mean, even their names. Consider this: Secretariat by Bull Ruler, Man of War named after a jellyfish. I mean, are you kidding me?
I will say that we're talking about a match race between the two, and I don't think the names has any relevance to the outcome
But
or
it
the winner
does
of that
when you're
race.
talking.
That's it.
Yeah, but see, that's the thing. When
That's
you're talking
it.
about greatness, it does.
All right. All right.
Well,
I'm gonna
we're
ask you.
talking
I'm
about
gonna
this
ask. I am gonna.
race not in the public eye, but what's finished on the track. I don't think either the horses probably even care what each other's names are.
All right. Here we go now. Okay. Let me ask. I'm gonna ask Vic another question. Then I'm gonna ask Sarah another question. All right. Real quick. All right. So Vic, I'm gonna ask you this: what about the surfaces at this time? Rumor has it that Belmont was made up of broken glass and broken beer bottles and pebbles. Do you think the surfaces that Man of War ran on do you think that's a different situation?
Well, no, not necessarily, because in Man o' War's day, they didn't have year-round racing, and in Man o' War's day, they had 5 and 6 race cards, whereas in Secretariat's day they would have 13 race cards. So the surfaces, I think, were more actually conducive and manicured specifically for a horse or a race like what Man o' War would run in. Where Secretariat, he just kind of had to go out and do his thing on regular old racetrack, and then what his thing was to win a classic race by 31 lengths. I mean, that's I can't even imagine what that must have been like to see. I've seen it on TV and I still don't believe it.
Yeah, that leads me to my next question. My last question for Sarah is that you've watched, I believe, probably both the races. You watched the Sir Barton race?
I've watched the Sir Barton race, yes.
And did you watch, obviously you've seen the Belmont.
Yeah,
Secretariat, yeah.
Yes.
Would you say would you say the Secretariat race at the Belmont was the most impressive horse race you've ever seen?
Oh.
To be fair, there's not much footage of Man o' War's races, so
they do have
really
They do have the Sir Barton race out on YouTube.
Just what she's seen. What she's seen. I mean, yes.
To be fair, honestly, the Secretariat win at Belmont was just astonishing.
Okay.
I feel like I cannot argue against that 30 length beat, but so for that question there, I have to give my hats off to Secretariat.
Two different distances when they won the Belmont.
Two different, correct? Yes.
Do you believe that he won by 20?
Yeah, Man o' War won by 20.
A little bit longer. What's he win by?
Ooh. I still think he has maybe I would say 18.
So he's going to lose lengths?
Just a little bit. It's going to be a little bit longer.
Okay, that was a different
answer. It's going to be a little bit longer.
Yeah.
So,
I think he was trying to help you make your case there. And
I know. But I mean, in all reality, when I'm looking at his times and everything, I think just a little bit longer.
Was closing on him or not.
And what happens if the Belmont for Secretariat was 2 miles? He'd won by 508 lengths.
He would have won by a mile.
Man o' War did win a race by 100 lengths.
He did win a race by 100 lengths. You are correct. And I've been
saving
that for the final round. So.
Yeah, we're not ganging up on him right here, AJ. We're judging.
You were talking about
just throwing out facts that need to
greatest performances by a racehorse. And the 20 lengths for Man o' War and the 31 lengths for Secretariat. And again, I think this is why we go to legend about it, in that Secretariat's Belmont was one of the greatest performances in all of sport. Horse racing aside, I mean, they put him on the cover of Time magazine.
Yeah.
Yeah. Talking about a serious horse.
It reminds me of the thing I was just reading. American Pharoah was compared to saying LeBron James is a better athlete, and I got mad. But
the match race between Man o' War and Sir Barton was one of the first televised races.
That's interesting. All right, so let's go to it. AJ, you have any more questions for these guys?
Yeah, I just and I want to bring this up too as well, is because when you couldn't both comment on this, when you compare the two, and especially can you even look at times here between these two horses, strictly because also Man o' War didn't even really come out of a gate for most of his races. He stood behind a tape.
Yeah,
they dropped
that's a great point. He had a walk-up start.
Not to mention, too, what kind of timing devices were we using in 1920 that could really be that reliable?
Charlie Whittingham said the only people or horses, the only time the time matters is if you're doing it. So the teletimer on the racetrack in comparing times from different generations, that's a very valid point. So it's hard to compare them, but again, like I said in my open, can you imagine? I mean, Sarah, you said that he would have only won by 18 if that Belmont was the same distance as Secretariat. So you got him slowing down, and my horse, he ran the last quarter in 23 seconds flat, which was the fastest of his 5 quarters. That's crazy.
Exactly. AJ, you good with questions? So we can just go back and forth real quick.
Well, one last thing. Man of Wars, even his Belmont was because this is okay. Last thing I want to point out to let each of you comment on is this is a match race.
Mm-hmm.
Many, most if not most of Man of War's races were match races. His Belmont was a match race. There was only 2 horses in that field. Do you think that gives him advantage having run in this format more than Secretariat ever did?
Well, I think obviously I feel like it changes the playing field when you're talking about, you know, more than 2 horses, because it depends on your post, what you draw, and depends on how large the field is. It changes the whole playing field. But yeah, most of Man of War's races were pretty tight match races. You know, not necessarily all of them were 2 horses, but he did have a rival that he went against quite a bit, which was Upset, which he dominated. So I feel like that question's a little bit different, just speaking of the time of the race, meaning, you know, we're talking about the 1920s here.
One of the things that, go ahead, Sarah. One of the things about match races is the great preponderance of them are won by whichever horse breaks in front. It's very, very difficult. Remember in the movie you saw how they let War Admiral catch up to Seabiscuit and all of that, but War Admiral never got his head in front of him. And there's another reason why I think Secretariat was a little handier early, and so he probably would have made the lead. Could you imagine trying to run down this horse who's running away from the rest of the horses? I mean, I just don't. How do you sit second and then out kick him for the last half mile? I don't see it.
That's a good point. That's a good point. All right, guys. Well, we're going to let you go back and forth right now. So let's start the clock, AJ. We do a minute back and forth. We went back and forth a lot anyway.
Yeah, we did.
What?
We didn't
do back and forth. Yeah. All right, you ready?
Round 3 begins now.
All right. Well, I'll start off with Man of War. His only loss was just a little jockey error, because the jockey was still circling his horse by the time the barrier fell. So if it wasn't for that, but, you know, even besides that, he got second by a neck. He was still fighting. This horse fights in every single race he gets. And like AJ brought up earlier, he won a race 1 5/8 by 100 lengths.
It's one thing to fight, and that's all very well and good because he was in a fight. But Secretariat wasn't in any fights because nobody could step into the ring with him and get close to him to where he had to show his gameness or his willingness to fight. What he did was just trounce them at every chance there was a criteria to be great. He was great at it, in that he was great out of the gate. He was very fast. He had a high cruising speed, and yet he could finish. And so would he have had all of this tenacity to turn away a lot of horses? I guess, but it would have had to be a relay race.
Back.
Could be. Wow. Well.
All right, I think Sarah's out of words. Go ahead.
No. I'm not. I'm trying to wrap my head around anything, but I guess I can start here. Secretariat against another Triple Crown winner. Did it happen? No. If it does happen, which horse and who still wins? He at least finished his career beating a Triple Crown winner, going wire to wire by 7 lengths. It's not like he was just racing some other horse and another Derby contender, another Belmont contender. He raced a Triple Crown winner and won.
Older horses.
Well, yeah.
Okay.
That's a great point. Seattle Slew had to do that, in that he faced Affirmed, and that's a great point. Again, it's one thing to talk about beaten company. It's one thing to talk about how horses fare against each other. But Secretariat never seemed to run against other horses. What he seemed to run against was lore, tradition, teletimers, winning races by 30 lengths. they're still talking about the final time in the Preakness. They still don't know what the hell he did, but they know it's faster than any horse that ever stepped foot on the track at Pimlico.
Sure. They change it like every year. Yeah.
They do
All right.
change it all the time.
And that'll be time for this
Okay.
round.
All right. So let's deliberation real quick. AJ, what do you think? You can go first with this deliberation. What do you think?
Well, obviously, I was, especially in the question round, I fished for answers I wanted to hear because I was curious. Well, it was very curious about, there's a lot of things that, Vic referred to a lot of lore and tradition and legend, which is all well and good, but that's not the format we're talking about. I mean, if you're talking about racehorses of all time, this isn't the argument we're making. We're talking about it one-on-one, mano-a-mano, who wins this race. And I do think Sarah brought up a point there at the very end. Secretariat went against kind of a lot of the same people. And Man of War stepped up to the plate and beat older horses towards the end of his career, which is an interesting point to think about. But again, you're still at the end of the day talking about Secretariat. So it's hard to...
Oh, yes. Well, I mean, yeah. And I mean, listen, you have to do everything in the world to go against Secretariat, let's face it. And Man of War is the only one you can even make a case for. And I think the one thing that I think the one thing that Vic brought up a lot, he didn't say it out loud, but I think he was going towards, is that the other horses that Man of War was running against, I mean, what were they? And I think Sarah almost proved the point by saying those 2 and 3 horse races, which I personally didn't have that in there because I didn't want to talk about it, where these horses did run like every other day. And like, who was he beating? That was the big thing that I got out of it when you brought up the fact of the match race thing where AJ brought up, where I thought it worked against Man of War more than anything. And, this is obviously me knowing that, I mean, I'm pretty sure Secretariat went like last to first in the Preakness, right? Did that big Vic, wasn't he close to last? And he made that huge move around the first turn, and just like a rocket.
He made a move that you can't make at Pimlico. And
yeah, that was actually one of the most incredible things that people don't talk about. That first, yeah, that was just, it's almost like when we watched Authentic with that big rush he always has. He did it around a turn, like he was, gliding. I mean, I like your point about Sir Barton and beating Sir Barton, because everything like that. But I have to, because it's Secretariat, I have to go with he made the right points of times, who he beat, even though it's only sham. I would have brought up that same point too. Well, not only sham, but that kind of got me too he name dropped Lafitte on us, by the way. And
I know.
That kind of got me there when he said that. That kind of won me right there.
Let's
proof sham worthy. Even if he's lying, we'll get him for perjury on the Triple Clown show.
Yeah.
But so I'm going to go with Secretariat, even though I think it's much, and I keep saying this, but it's definitely much closer than I would have thought before I started reading about it and then started listening to even Sarah and Vic. I was almost on Man of War, but then Vic, you made some really good points about, I don't want to say relativity because I would have gone on that too. But yeah, you should have noted that Man of War actually, he was who Paul Revere rode during the, no, it's not true. I would have made stuff up. That's all I'm saying.
I would not. You would make stuff up for me. Vic
Civil
would
War
bury you
horse.
with everything. Well, his name stems from Civil War times. But.
Yeah, but if Paul Revere had ridden Secretariat, we'd have won the war a couple of days earlier.
Yes, that's true.
All
right, so what's the final judgment?
So
He'd actually got there at like 9:45 instead of midnight.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh boy. All right, and the final judgment is.
AJ, I got to go with Secretariat here.
Who do you got here?
I'm gonna call it a draw, so I guess Vic wins.
A dead heat.
One vote.
Wow.
1 vote to 0.
You're going to go draw?
I'm going draw.
That's a good call. I don't think you can go draw. All right, so comments in this section. We'll see what other people think. I'm sure we're going to get blasted about this one.
Let us know down below
and
who
we'll
you would
talk
pick
about it.
in this very tough race. And once again,
because
Good
it's
luck to
all
everybody.
for fun.
It's all for fun. It's always a pleasure to have Vic on our show. We're
You know what I'm
happy
mad?
he still likes to come on.
Yeah, you know what I'm mad about, guys? That you
What?
guys didn't bring up.
What?
Man of War won a race going the wrong way.
That's true. That's true.
And then
Like
Vic could have said
The
that
last
he
year
won on
that they
turf.
were still running clockwise.
Did you know that, Vic? He won going the wrong way.
I heard in the Man of War lore, and I was wondering if Sarah would come with this because I wasn't going to give it to her. But I heard that part of the lore is they loaded him backwards once, and he had to back out, turn, and run.
No, that was
part
the
of
draw.
The jockey error.
He was facing the other way
When they
dropped
started
the
it,
tape.
Okay,
Yeah.
so something
Yeah.
like that. It was the
he didn't get
Yeah,
it was
no, I brought that up. When I mentioned that was his only.
you talked about the walk-up start, yeah.
That's his only
there's
jockey
video
was
of that.
still
You can see
circling
that.
by the time they dropped the barrier, but he still got second.
He was facing the wrong way.
And he
There's,
still almost
there's
won.
video of that too. That's on YouTube. You can see that.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. See,
We'll put
There's
that out.
actually
Not
some
quite-
really neat stuff on old footage of Man of War on YouTube, which is pretty interesting.
yeah.
to
I don't
check
think
out.
Secretariat could overcome that. I mean,
That's,
I don't think
of course
most
he would have been
horses could
he would have been
overcome
at the
that,
quarter
right?
pole by the time they got him stopped and turned him back around.
yeah, you imagine?
Right.
That's a good horse to get that. That's
Yeah.
a good point. That is his
I
only
brought that
loss.
up as his only loss.
I know. You should have explained more though that he was backwards because she did say the jockey was rounding him about and then they started the race. But that is true.
That was good. That was
But that
fun.
is good, and it's funny because I bet at the time, and I know Vic will agree, knowing what he knows about horses. Man of War, they probably said would never be another one, and then there was Secretariat. So do you think, Vic, there will be another Secretariat?
Oh, again, we have to talk more about just the actual being than everything that Secretary brought to the table. As far as just physical ability, there have been horses. Jerry Brown, that does Thoroughgraph, has made some Thoroughgraph numbers based on films of Secretariat, and they, of course, are legendarily fast. But there's actually been some horses that, if you use that as the criteria, that may have actually been good enough to defeat Secretariat, like the day Gosapper won the Breeders' Cup Classic in Lone Star. He ran arguably the fastest race, going 1.25 miles, even faster than Secretariat's Derby, which was 59 and change. But that's using the criteria that you guys were talking about. That's why I went to legend, and that's why I went to lore, and the answer is no, because there's no way that a horse now in this day and age can capture the hearts and minds of the entire world like Secretariat could at that time, back in 1973, when horse racing was the #1 spectator sport in the world.
So yes,
So
there'll
no.
never be another Secretariat. And
There'll
that's
never
it.
be another
Right.
Secretariat.
Yeah.
No, not with everything that entails.
So you're saying physically there could be, but not as far as the kind of the attention and
The ability to get
that-
speed and get over the racetrack, I suppose it's possible. But again, another very big deal is he was touched by the gods in that we talked about his heart, literally being twice the size of a normal horse's heart. So it wasn't fair. I mean, he was dealing with an engine that the other ones just couldn't possibly compete.
All right, so that was our Man O' War for you, AJ. Man O' War
thank you.
and Secretariat. That was good, Sarah. Nice job. Vic, always, we knew that was coming. We knew the heat was coming from Vic Stauffer. And fabulous, guys. Thank you so much. You guys did great. Hopefully everybody enjoyed it. Vic, before we let you go, though, we know you got a lot of stuff going on. Can you keep people informed on what's going on? And I know you got some jockeys running and everything. Let's give everybody a heads up on where they are, who they are, and everything like that. I know Charles is doing well right now.
Charles is doing well. They're down to only 2 days a week now at Hawthorne, so he's kind of bummed out by that. But he's doing well, winning races. Jermaine Bridgemahan is riding at Turfway right now, and slowly but surely really starting to pick up some big barns. He's riding a bunch of horses for Mark Cassie, riding for Steve Asmussen, riding for Jerry Hollendorfer. So
That's incredible.
Cool.
yeah, he's really, keep an eye on Jermaine once some of the quote unquote more marquee guys go to Oaklawn. That'll be Talamo and Bejarano and a few of those guys. Jermaine is going to kind of slide in there, not only pick up some of the horses that they've been riding, but start to really manifest some of the horses he's been working for these really good barns. Well, I told him the other day, I said, we're only working and riding horses for Hall of Famers. That's it. So, and we got Cassie, we got Asmussen. We rode a horse the other day for Nick Zito, the great Nick Zito.
Wow.
Hey, you can knock me, man. Knock me all you want, but whatever you do, don't knock the horse, okay? Okay, don't knock the horse. You can knock me. I'm from Brooklyn. I could do anything, but please don't knock the horse. Whatever you do. And then there's Jerry Hollendorfer. So that's what we do. We only ride for Hall of Famers. If you're not a Hall of Famer, we're not going to give you a call.
Oh, wow. That's
Sorry.
Rick dropping it
I
on him.
I want
That's
you to be
great.
I'm not going to be a jockey, but
and
can you
that's
be my
obviously-
agent for, I don't know.
Yeah,
right?
that's obviously Charles Roberts as well.
Yes, so both check them out, Turfway
Yeah.
Park and Hawthorne, where you can catch those jockeys.
And if you can follow Charles on Twitter and just like message him, it's kind of funny because
It's a fun game.
it's a fun game you want to
We've
do
made
with
for
Charles.
Charles. This is what he gets for coming on our
He
show.
needs-
Sorry,
he
guys.
needs- he
Sorry.
needs to talk more, I think. That's his thing, right, Vic?
He's just focused on being a jockey.
Oh,
So you can't blame him.
you need to market him a little better.
But I buried the lead. The lead is Oaklawn. We are getting close, boys and girls.
Yes.
January 22nd, Friday, January 22nd. And it's going to
4 days
be
after my birthday.
good for you. Happy
Yeah.
birthday.
A couple days
Happy
before
Oaklawn.
my
Go ahead,
birthday.
Vic. Like, it's a couple days before Saturday. They're great.
$4 million races this year. The purse on opening day for the first allowance conditions over $100K.
Whew,
And
nice.
it's going to be, we're getting Flo the jock this year. He's going to ride at Oaklawn instead of staying down at the fairgrounds. And looked for a while like we had Rosario, but he decided to go to California. But we'll have Bejarano in. Talamo will be back. Martin Garcia. So it will not be a duck walk for Santana and Cohen like it has been a couple of years past.
Yeah,
Gonna be
that's
great.
Very, very
That's
excited
fantastic.
for
And
this.
before I forget, I just remembered this, Vic. I wanted to talk to you about this because I think we both have beef against somebody because two things they did wrong was they gave out those American Best Racing Awards or whatever it was. What was that on? I don't even know what I'm not going to give them
America's
props.
Best. It was like the
Because the fans.
awards of the year.
and
We
then-
did not get Best Podcast.
We weren't
So,
even nominated, but
Not
no,
even nominated.
that's not even the big deal. I
No,
mean, that's a
That's
travesty.
the second.
But the biggest
big
deal
deal.
is, so they nominated Best Track of the Year, and Oaklawn wasn't even nominated. Vic.
Yeah, that's nuts.
Yeah, right?
Which part? Which part? That we weren't nominated or Oaklawn?
Just about us.
Well, it's both. I mean, you guys really
okay,
should.
good,
Yeah.
good.
I'm talking straight up, man. You guys are great fun. I mean, I tune in and I it's always something new. It's clear that you love the sport and you're excited about it. A breath of fresh air. And I'm not just saying, I don't do chin music anywhere. I'm too old. So, but to not put Oaklawn on
Yeah,
as
that's
one of the
ridiculous.
best racetracks in the United States it's just wrong. It's really incorrect.
Who
Well,
was
last
nominated?
year?
Especially
It was last
how-
year's awards. I mean, Oaklawn killed it. Their horses came out and killed it afterwards. They
They always
I was gonna
do.
say, you guys had an incredible
But
season.
even better though, don't you think, Vic? And I mean, guys, people at the fence watching,
Yeah.
like I never
That's
saw.
what you don't. I mean, yeah, you don't see that at other tracks. You don't. I mean, Oakland had people at the fence, like you were saying, spectators like desperate because we can't be there at the track, so we're gonna find a way. But that's just how much
Exactly.
They kept
Oakland has
racing.
encompassed in people's
Yeah, that
lives,
was-
and the season they put forth in COVID times was unbelievable.
I'm calling
Especially
you out.
right at COVID's height, too.
Yeah, exactly. You're right.
At the
AJ,
height
you're
of
right.
COVID.
Oh, and they
Yeah.
carried
Right at
horse
COVID.
racing into what it became.
Yeah.
Mm.
And think about the horses that ran in the Breeders' Cup and their ties to Oakland. I mean,
Yeah,
Nick's
Yeah.
go.
Yeah.
I thought that was the biggest. I thought this was the one year that they're going to get to do that. I know they deserve that all the time, Vic. but I thought this was the year they really kind of showed off and really outperformed everybody. I mean, San Antonio did a great job with their bubble they created, but that was after Oakland. That was after, not that they created a bubble, but it was after. If Oakland goes down at that point, I don't know what the other tracks do.
It would have shooken
And
it
not only did
way
it
worse
go
than
down,
it has.
the horses came out like it was like they were the studs. Oh, this horse ran at Oakland and won. Oh, I'm betting this horse.
Yeah.
I mean,
Exactly. I mean, think about the Breeders' Cup. You got Improbable, ran at Oakland. You got Tom's D'Etat, ran at Oakland. What's McPeak's filly's name? That won the Fantasy.
Swiss.
The one that won the Preakness.
Swiss Skydiver.
Swiss Skydiver. Oakland. Whitmore. Oakland. I mean, it never ends. They all come through Hot Springs.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess it just boils down to we can call these awards BS.
Yeah. Just BS awards. We're calling them
not working for me.
What a sham.
Not working for me. I got blown
and
out.
honestly, I was saying that to get to the Oakland part.
A couple years ago, they did an announcer thing, and I got blown out in the second round by some Hammenegger. I don't know who, but I actually do know, but I ain't saying.
Was it Jason Beam? I hope it wasn't Jason Beam.
No. I would not. I would never ever feel bad.
I know you wouldn't.
By J Ball's calls.
No, he actually. I told you he
Jason
spoke very highly
of you, and it seems like
Yeah.
it goes both
We would
ways.
edit it out. We'd have to edit it out.
Yeah.
No, he's my guy. He's a great guy, and
Awesome.
boy, he's been through so much, and what a success story.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. His story was very inspiring.
I'm reading his book right now. All right, Vic. So thank you so much, and I'm sure we'll talk hopefully before Oakland, but if not, by some chance.
Not happy holidays. Good luck.
Thank you. Same to you guys.
Absolutely. Happy holidays. Good luck, and we'll hear you at Oakland, but we'll talk before that, I'm sure. And thank you so much, Vic, for coming.
My
on.
pleasure. Anytime. All the best.
All right.
Triple Clowns is a production of the team at Big Umbrella. Rate and review our podcast on Apple Podcasts. Send us your questions at tripleclowns@gmail.com and you may be featured on a future episode. Follow us on social media at ClownsTriple on Twitter and Instagram, and follow me, AJ Ryder, at Troy McClain WWE on Twitter. Like and subscribe to our show on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, or wherever fine podcasts are downloaded. All right, guys, for AJ Ryder, I'm out of here. See you later, everybody.